When a woman begins to share her problems with you, it doesn't necessarily mean she's searching for a solution. More often than not, it means she's looking for something deeper. She wants to feel your presence, not your panic. She wants to sense your emotional strength, not your reactive impulses. As a man, when you're confronted with a woman's emotional storms, you're not meant to become another piece of that chaos. You're meant to be the anchor in the flood, the steady ground she can lean on. Yet most modern men fail to see this. They assume that when a woman speaks about her emotional struggles, it's an invitation to fix her. But in reality, it's often a test of your masculine grounding, a test of whether you can remain calm in the face of emotional waves. And this is where Stoicism enters. The Stoics of old didn't speak about dating or relationships the way we do today, but they understood human nature. They understood emotion, discipline, control, and perception. Stoicism isn't just about sitting quietly or pretending to be unaffected. It's about discerning what deserves your reaction and what doesn't. It's about responding from a place of strength rather than reacting out of fear. And in relationships, that strength becomes everything. When a woman vents her emotions, she rarely needs your advice. What she's seeking is your emotional steadiness. She's checking if you can hold space without collapsing. Because if you crumble every time she releases her storm, how will she trust you with life, with children, with decisions that require certainty? This message is for the man who wants to forge himself into that unshakable presence. The man who refuses to be tossed around by feelings. The man who listens without losing his own center. The one who knows masculinity is not about controlling others, but about mastering himself. In the next 7 parts, I'll reveal what you must understand about a woman's emotional nature, how to respond like a Stoic, and how to develop personal power that makes you magnetic, immovable, and deeply respected. But before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're done with fake dating advice, empty promises, and sugar-coated talk, this is the channel you've been looking for. We deal with hard truths here. We sharpen men here. So open your mind, because what comes next may change the way you see everything. Number 1. She's not looking for a fix. She's looking for your frame. Most men stumble into the same trap whenever a woman begins to speak about her problems. They instantly move into fixing mode. She says, "My friend betrayed me," and he answers with, "Well, maybe you should stop talking to her." She says, "I feel so overwhelmed," and he quickly responds, "You need to rest more or take a break." At first glance, that sounds logical, even helpful. But here's the truth. She's not searching for logic. She's searching for your frame. She wants your presence, that grounded, masculine steadiness that doesn't flinch when her chaos shows up. This doesn't mean ignoring her. It doesn't mean being cold or emotionally absent. It means being emotionally disciplined. She isn't measuring your IQ here. She's measuring your EQ, your emotional quality, your inner steadiness. Think about Marcus Aurelius. He ruled the Roman Empire, fought constant wars, endured betrayal, disease, and death. Yet in his private writings, his meditations, you never find him panicking, never see him spilling his emotions recklessly into the world. He was surrounded by storms, yet his inner core remained calm. He once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That single truth could save most modern men from emotional collapse. Because when your woman comes to you with her inner storm, you become the outside event. How you respond determines whether she feels safe with you or suffocated by you. You don't need to play the therapist. You need to be the rock. She isn't looking for you to fix her. She's coming because she's drowning in emotion, and she wants to know, will you sink with her or stand strong? That's why so many women lose respect for men who jump too quickly into solution mode. When you rush to fix, you make her feel like she's a problem to be solved, not a person to be understood. This is where many relationships quietly begin to die. Not because of betrayal, not because of lies, but because the man becomes emotionally reactive rather than emotionally reliable. Epictetus captured it perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When a woman speaks her problems to you, your reaction becomes the test. Do you flinch? Do you over-explain? Do you try to comfort her only to soothe your own discomfort? If so, she feels it. She senses the weakness. The moment she sees that your strength is only a mask, that you're calming her only to avoid your own unease, her trust begins to erode. So, what's the alternative? You listen. You observe. You breathe deeply and let her words come out without interruption. You say, "I hear you." You don't rush to end the moment. You allow her emotions to exist as they are, without trying to bend them into something else. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you powerful. It shows her you're not controlled by the need to control. And here's the irony. When you stop trying to fix her emotions, they pass more quickly. Because now she feels safe, she feels seen, and she feels something rare in today's world. A man who can hold her storm without being swept away by it. That is your role. Not patching every hole in her boat, but standing tall as the lighthouse in her storm. She may never say this aloud. She may not even realize it fully herself. But when you answer her chaos with grounded presence instead of desperate fixing, you rise in her respect. She walks away feeling closer to you. Not because you solved her problems, but because you proved you're the man who doesn't flinch when life hits hard. And in a world overflowing with men who fold under pressure, that alone sets you apart. Number 2. The strength to listen without losing yourself. A woman will often choose to open up to you when she's in the middle of emotional turmoil. But what she's really searching for, what she's testing, is your ability to hear her without becoming her. Let that sink in. She's not asking you to become a sponge, soaking up her pain. She's not looking for a mirror that simply reflects her chaos back to her. She's looking for something solid like a wall, not cold or distant, but unshakable, something she can lean against without fearing it will collapse. The problem is, most men today completely misunderstand this dynamic. They confuse empathy with entanglement. They mistake connection for emotional absorption. And slowly, without realizing it, they stop being men and instead become emotional crutches. That's when respect fades. That's when attraction weakens. That's when she unconsciously begins searching elsewhere for strength, even if she doesn't know she's doing it. When you listen to a woman, you cannot afford to lose your center. You cannot get dragged into her emotional frame. Women, by design, are emotional creatures. Their inner weather changes by the day, sometimes by the hour. That's how they experience the world, through emotion. But your role as a man is not to drift with that tide. Your role is to remain grounded, so she has something constant to come back to. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That's exactly what happens when men over-identify with a woman's emotions. You begin living inside her storm. You start imagining pain that isn't yours. You react to her moods as though it's your job to fix or carry them. In that process, you abandon yourself under the illusion of being there for her. That isn't Stoicism. That's weakness disguised as compassion. True Stoicism is different. It's the power to be fully present, to hear every word she says, to understand, to empathize, but not to drown in it. That's the distinction between the grounded man and the emotional boy. One reacts, the other reflects. One absorbs chaos, the other contains it. You need to build a shield around your mind when she's unloading emotionally. Not because she's wrong, not because her feelings don't matter, but because it's your responsibility to protect your inner peace. You're no good to her if you've lost yourself in the process of trying to save her. Picture it this way. She is the ocean, sometimes calm, sometimes thrashing, always in motion. You are the mountain rising out of that ocean, rooted and still. When her waves crash against you, she doesn't want the mountain to crumble. She wants to see whether it still stands tall. Her emotions are asking, are you steady enough to handle this? Are you secure enough to hear me without breaking? But most men can't handle this test. They either shut down emotionally, believing Stoicism means silence, or they swing the other way and try to rescue her, fixing, soothing, or agreeing with everything just to avoid conflict. Both responses are weakness. The real strength lies in being fully open, fully present, and still unshaken in who you are. And when you master this, women respond differently. The yelling softens, the storm calms. She feels heard, not managed. She feels safe, not smothered. And she begins to trust you, not just with her words, but with her respect, her admiration, and her surrender. Because only a man who hasn't lost himself can truly lead a woman anywhere. The second she realizes you're simply reacting to her moods, she stops seeing you as stronger than her storms. You become equal to them, tossed around, unstable, unreliable. And that kills attraction at the root. Here's the truth. You don't need every answer. You don't need to always say the perfect thing. You just need to remain unshaken. That in itself sets you apart. It makes you rare in today's unstable world. It makes you the kind of man she respects, the kind she desires, the kind she knows can walk straight through fire and emerge untouched. And in an age where emotional instability is the norm, that kind of man isn't just attractive, he's necessary. Number 3. Emotional control is masculine power. There's one truth most men refuse to accept. The moment you lose control of your emotions, you lose everything. Your respect, your authority, your frame, your ability to lead, all of it crumbles the second you allow yourself to be pulled into the chaos of unchecked feelings. A man without control is not a man. He is simply a boy, trapped in a body that looks grown but lacks the inner strength that defines masculinity. When a woman throws her emotions at you, anger, tears, confusion, frustration, she isn't looking to see how quickly you can fix her or argue your way to victory. What she's really searching for, often without even knowing it, is whether you can remain calm in the storm. Can you hold the line? Can you stay unshaken while she tests the very core of your being? Because make no mistake, it is a test. Every outburst, every emotional swing is life itself asking you, are you grounded or are you fragile? Most men today fail this test miserably. They either collapse into anger, raising their voice in a desperate attempt to regain control, or they dissolve into submission, agreeing to everything just to end the discomfort. But both are weakness. Both are the behavior of men who have not mastered themselves. And nothing kills respect faster than a man who can't even manage his own state of mind. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Do you see the power in those words? Your strength as a man doesn't come from dominating her emotions. It comes from mastering your own. The battlefield is not her heart, not her moods, not her storms. The battlefield is your own mind. When you allow anger to take over, you reveal that you are still a slave. Not to her, but to yourself. When you let frustration show, you're telling the world that you have no discipline over your own state. And when you try to silence her just to quiet the storm, you are exposing the fact that you are afraid of her emotions, that you are not built strong enough to withstand them. But when you remain calm, when your voice stays steady, when your body language doesn't flinch, something profound happens. She feels it, she senses it, and whether she admits it or not, she respects it. Because in that moment, you have proven something most men never can, that you are not ruled by emotion, but by discipline, control, and presence. This doesn't mean you suppress every feeling. Suppression is weakness in disguise. It always leaks out eventually. What it means is mastery, the ability to acknowledge emotion without becoming it, to feel anger but not explode, to feel frustration but not fold, to feel sadness but not drown in it. Mastery doesn't deny reality, it controls its expression. And here's the truth no one tells you. The man who cannot command himself will never command respect from anyone else. Not from women, not from men, not from life. Control is the foundation of power. It is what separates the man who leads from the man who begs, the man who stands tall from the man who hides, the man who inspires respect from the one who only dreams of it. So remember this. When she tests you with emotion, she's not attacking you. She's handing you the chance to reveal your strength. She's saying, without words, show me who you really are when things get uncomfortable. Show me if you can be trusted when everything is unstable. Show me if you are stronger than my storm. And if you fail that test, if you lose your control, if you let your emotions dictate your actions, then you've proven you are no mountain. You are just another man swept away by the waves. But if you pass, if you stay grounded, calm, collected, then you've proven yourself worthy of respect. And that kind of respect doesn't just change how she sees you. It changes how you see yourself. Because deep down, nothing feels more powerful than knowing your emotions serve you, not the other way around. Number 4. Why Stoic men are rare and why women crave them. Look around you. What do you see in today's world? Men who cannot even sit with themselves for 5 minutes without reaching for distraction. Men addicted to noise, to validation, to fleeting pleasures. Men who crumble at the slightest resistance. This is why Stoic men are so rare, and rarity by nature is valuable. Most men today think masculinity is about bravado, showing off, or trying to dominate others, but all of that is nothing more than theater. Real strength isn't loud. Real strength doesn't announce itself. It simply exists, unshaken, unmoved, undeniable. And when a woman feels that kind of presence, something primal awakens in her. Because what she craves, more than gifts, words, or appearances, is the quiet security of a man who will not break. The modern world has conditioned men to be reactive, to chase, to constantly seek approval. They scroll endlessly, comparing themselves to others. They beg for attention, dress for validation, and speak only to impress. But none of that creates true respect. None of that builds the kind of aura women respond to at their core. What they respond to is presence, silence, self-control. A man who doesn't need the world, but chooses his place in it. Think of Marcus Aurelius, sitting at the height of power, emperor of Rome, yet writing to himself, reminding his own soul not to be corrupted by pride, not to be ruled by anger, not to be broken by pain. Do you understand how rare that is? A man with the world at his feet, yet his first concern was mastering his own mind. That's the Stoic ideal. That's the kind of strength women sense even centuries later. Because it's timeless. When you carry yourself with that calm certainty, women notice it instantly. They may not articulate it, they may not even fully understand it, but they feel it. Because true Stoic men are rare in this age of noise. And what is rare is always in demand. Women don't crave chaos in men. They already carry enough of it inside themselves. They crave stability. They crave a presence that allows them to release their storm without fear of collapse. They crave the man who doesn't compete with their emotions, but stands firm in the face of them. But here's why so many men fail. They think Stoicism means shutting down, acting like a robot, feeling nothing. That's not Stoicism. That's cowardice, disguised as strength. Stoicism is not about being empty. It's about being full of discipline, grounded in truth, alive to reality. It's not the absence of feeling, it's the mastery of it. And because so few men live this way, the ones who do stand out without trying. You don't need to chase, you don't need to beg, you don't need to prove yourself. Your presence speaks before you ever open your mouth. Your silence says more than another man's 1,000 words. Women crave this because it is natural. Just as fire seeks containment, emotion seeks grounding. When you embody that grounding, you become not just desirable, but unforgettable. And the irony is, you don't achieve it by chasing women at all. You achieve it by chasing mastery over yourself. That's why Stoic men are rare. Because discipline is rare, control is rare, stillness is rare. But it is also why women crave them. Because what is rare, what is real, what is unshakable cannot be ignored. Number 5. The power of indifference and why it drives women wild. There's something most men will never understand, and because of that, they will never master women or themselves. The truth is this: the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And nothing unsettles a woman more than a man who cannot be controlled by her emotions. A man who remains calm, collected, and unshaken, no matter what she throws his way. Most men respond exactly as expected. If she's angry, they rise in anger. If she's sad, they drown with her. If she withdraws, they chase, beg, and plead for her attention. Their entire emotional state is tied to her moods. And that dependency is weakness. Women sense it instantly. They may not say it out loud, but they know it. If they can control your emotions, they can control you. And once they control you, respect begins to vanish. Indifference breaks that cycle. When you remain centered, when her storms cannot shake you, you're sending a message more powerful than any words. I am my own man. My peace is mine. You do not dictate it. That's when the dynamic shifts. That's when attraction grows stronger. Because now you're no longer reacting like every other man. You've become the exception. But let's be clear, indifference is not about being cold or heartless. It's not about ignoring her or pretending you don't care. That's arrogance, not stoicism. True indifference is deeper. It's the refusal to let external chaos disturb your inner world. It's the ability to care for her without collapsing under her storms. It's the discipline of knowing where she ends and where you begin. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you embody that truth, women feel it. You could be in the middle of an argument, emotions high, voices raised, but if you remain calm, if you do not flinch, if your frame remains intact, she senses something rare. And paradoxically, the very thing that frustrates her in the moment, your unshakable presence, is the same thing that keeps her drawn to you long term. Think of it this way. If every other man is ruled by his need for validation, his hunger for approval, his desire to be liked, then the man who can stand alone becomes magnetic. He doesn't beg, he doesn't chase, he doesn't lose himself. That indifference creates respect, and respect is the foundation of lasting desire. The truth is, when a woman sees that her emotions cannot shake you, she may test harder at first. She may push more intensely, trying to find your breaking point. But if you hold steady, if you remain calm, something shifts inside her. She realizes she has found a man stronger than her storms, a man she cannot bend. And far from losing her, this makes her cling tighter. Because deep down, every woman craves the stability of a man who cannot be moved. But weak men misunderstand this completely. They confuse indifference with neglect. They withdraw, shut down, or act dismissive, thinking it makes them strong. In reality, it only reveals insecurity. True Stoic indifference is active, not passive. It is listening without attachment, caring without dependency, engaging without losing yourself. And that is why it drives women wild, because it is rare, because it is power, because it proves that you are not ruled by her moods, her tests, or her approval. You are ruled only by your own discipline, your own values, your own mind. And in a world of men desperate for validation, that kind of indifference isn't just attractive, it's irresistible. Number 6. The silent strength that commands respect. The loudest man in the room is almost never the strongest. He shouts, he brags, he performs, because deep inside he's hollow. His noise is compensation, his energy is disguise. But true strength, it doesn't need to announce itself. It's silent, and that silence carries more weight than 1,000 words ever could. Women sense this silence immediately. They can feel it in the way you walk into a room without forcing attention, yet attention naturally finds you. They hear it in the calmness of your voice, steady and controlled, never rushed or desperate. They see it in your eyes, grounded, focused, unshaken. That is silent strength, and it commands respect without demand. Most men today chase respect like beggars chasing coins. They plead for it through validation, through approval, through endless displays of need. But the Stoic man doesn't ask for respect, he embodies it. He lives in such a way that respect becomes the only natural response. His discipline, his restraint, his unshakable center, all of it speaks for him without a word. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That's the essence of silent strength. You don't debate it, you don't declare it, you live it. Every choice, every reaction, every posture reflects it. And because so few men walk this path, the ones who do become unmistakable. This kind of strength is not rigid or harsh. It's not about aggression or dominance. It's about being rooted. A tree doesn't scream about its roots, but when the storm comes, you know which trees are deeply grounded and which will snap. In the same way, when life shakes you, when women test you, when emotions rise, the man of silent strength doesn't collapse. He bends, but he does not break. He adapts, but he does not lose himself. And women crave this deeply. Not the man who talks endlessly about how strong he is. Not the man who tries to prove himself through anger or dominance, but the man whose presence speaks for itself. The one whose silence calms her, whose stillness steadies her, whose restraint tells her everything she needs to know. This man cannot be broken. Here's the paradox. When you're loud, people doubt you. When you're silent, people believe you. When you insist on your strength, they question it. But when you embody it quietly, they feel it without explanation. That's why silence commands more respect than noise ever could. The truth is, silence reveals mastery. It shows you don't need approval to feel secure. You don't need to dominate others to prove worth. You don't need to argue to validate your point. You are content in your strength, and that contentment radiates a power words can't capture. Women respond to this because it's rare. In a world of endless noise, constant opinions, desperate displays, shallow performances, The man who doesn't need to speak to prove himself becomes unforgettable. His silence cuts through the chaos. His stillness commands attention. His presence lingers long after he's gone. Silent strength is not passive. It's not about withdrawing or avoiding life. It's about engaging fully, but from a place of control. It's about choosing when to speak and when not to. It's about knowing that your power isn't in the noise you make, but in the discipline you embody. And when you master that, you'll realize something profound. You never needed to shout. You never needed to beg. You never needed to prove. You only needed to be. And being, in silence, in presence, in strength, is what commands respect in ways words never will. Number 7. How Stoic men transform a woman's attraction into admiration. Attraction is fleeting. It can spark in an instant, but it is fragile. Admiration, however, is enduring. And the difference between the two lies entirely in your presence, your discipline, and your ability to remain unshakable when chaos surrounds you. A woman may be drawn to you at first by your appearance, your charm, or your energy. But if your emotions crumble under pressure, attraction fades, and respect vanishes. Stoic men understand this. They know that admiration cannot be demanded. It must be earned through consistent demonstration of inner strength. A man who reacts to every wave of emotion, who seeks to please, who bends with every storm, may capture fleeting desire, but he never earns admiration. Admiration is reserved for those who hold themselves steady, no matter how turbulent the world around them becomes. When a woman tests you with emotion, it is more than a challenge. It is a lens. She is looking to see if your frame is strong, if your mind is disciplined, if your presence is unbreakable. Each test is a quiet question. Can I rely on you when life gets messy? Can you hold yourself, and by extension, hold me? And when you respond with calm, silent strength, something transformative happens. Her initial attraction deepens into respect. That respect grows into trust, and trust forms the foundation for admiration. This is why Stoic men are magnetic. Because in a world of men who flinch, overreact, or chase validation, the man who stands firm becomes rare, and rarity commands power. Women notice the difference instantly. Whether consciously or subconsciously, they sense the stability, they feel the presence. They recognize that they are not testing a fragile ego, but encountering a man of substance. Admiration is built in the quiet moments, when you listen without absorbing, when you respond without panic, when you remain composed while others would crumble, when you make no effort to impress, yet your demeanor communicates mastery. Every instance of controlled presence strengthens her perception of you as someone she can rely on, someone who isn't swayed by superficiality, someone whose respect must be earned, not demanded. And here's the essential truth. Admiration cannot coexist with neediness. The moment a man seeks approval, validation, or permission to exist in her world, he loses the very quality that turns attraction into reverence. A Stoic man doesn't perform for her attention, he commands it by his very nature. He doesn't react to her moods, he contains them with presence. He doesn't chase validation, he embodies value. And that embodiment is what transforms her fleeting desire into unwavering admiration. Remember, attraction is easy to ignite. It's the ephemeral spark that lights the fire. But admiration, that is the enduring flame. And the only way to nurture it is through mastery over self, emotional control, silent strength, and unwavering presence. A woman may feel drawn to many men, but she admires only the ones who are unmovable when everything else is in motion. Number 8. Becoming the unshakable man, the final step to true masculine power. This is where it all comes together. All the presence, all the silent strength, all the emotional control, and all the restraint culminate in one thing: becoming the unshakable man. The man who no circumstance, no chaos, no emotional storm can bend. The man who exists in his own center and refuses to be moved by the turbulence of the world. An unshakable man is not born. He is forged through discipline, reflection, and relentless self-mastery. He has learned that external events are meaningless unless he gives them power. He has internalized the Stoic principle that nothing outside of him can harm his mind or disturb his composure unless he allows it. And in relationships, that is the ultimate power. When a woman senses that you are unshakable, her entire perception of you shifts. She no longer sees you as just a man she likes. She sees you as a man she can trust. A man whose stability becomes a safe harbor for her emotions, not a mirror reflecting them back. She feels anchored by you. She feels secure in your presence. And that security translates into profound respect, admiration, and attraction that cannot be broken by petty arguments or emotional turbulence. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom in this context is emotional independence. You are free to allow others to feel what they feel without surrendering your own inner balance. You are free to exist fully in the world without being dragged by every mood, every drama, every test. And it is this freedom that separates men who are followed from men who are merely tolerated. Becoming unshakable is about constant awareness. It is pausing before reacting, breathing before responding, observing before intervening. It is about knowing that your presence, not your words, holds the power. It is about mastering the balance between empathy and detachment, feeling without being consumed, caring without being controlled. And here is the final truth. A man who masters himself automatically transforms his relationships. He no longer chases validation, no longer pleases in desperation, no longer fears emotional storms. He listens without losing himself, he stands without faltering, and he responds with clarity instead of chaos. That is the man who commands respect. That is the man women admire. That is the man who leads not through force, but through presence. So when a woman comes to you with her problems, remember, she is not testing your intellect, she is testing your inner stability. She is not asking for solutions, she is observing your composure. She is not seeking a fixer, she is seeking a man who will not bend to emotional tides. And when you embody that unshakable presence, you achieve the highest form of masculine power. The kind that cannot be taken, the kind that earns lasting respect, and the kind that inspires unwavering trust. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca were never perfect men, but they were clear on one essential principle. Internal mastery is stronger than external chaos. Stand firm in that truth. Become the man who cannot be moved, because once you do, everything else falls into place. Respect, attraction, admiration, and a power that is silent, relentless, and eternal. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.